So hello students, how are you? So today we are launching something new. Kaun Banega VLSI Engineer. It is a type of quiz we are launching now because we are already doing the mock interviews and all. In the mock interview of 1 or 2 hours, we can ask up to 10 question, 15 question like that. We can discuss the solutions also, and we are telling the solutions also. But right now we are launching a quiz because we want to cover a lot of questions in a very lesser time. So it is a fast track mode in which we will going to ask the question from the student, and we will not going to discuss the solutions. You have to take the solution from your side. If the student are not telling this answer, we will go into the next question. You have to check the solutions because in this quiz we will going to cover that around 20 to 30 questions in a 35 minutes. We will set the timer of the meeting of 35 minutes. So in that 35 minutes only, we will going to discuss, answer questions from the student. And yeah, so let us start the quiz now. So what is the difference between the blocking and non-blocking assignment? You can raise your hand and answer. Umesh, you can answer. Blocking and non-blocking.
So, yeah. So the difference between main thing is blocking statement will be executed simultaneously. All the blocking statements means it starts with less than and equal to, symbol is less than equal to assignment operator for blocking, non-blocking thing. For non-blocking thing, all the operations will be evaluated on the right hand side will be evaluated at time 0, and then it will be assigned to the assigned on the left hand side. Whereas for the blocking statement, it is assigned. It is used equal to symbol for assigning. Second thing is they are executed sequentially, one after the other. And that if you synthesize both blocking and non-blocking, so blocking will be like output of the one flop will be given to the other. If you take in that way, sorry, non-blocking will be one after the other. Whereas in case of what we say blocking, it will be like parallel execution of 2 flops. So these are the 3 basic differences.
Also, write an example on pen and paper in the interview. Write a proper example so that you, in the interview, can explain. Right now, we don't have much time. Right? Asif, you want to add something? Tigna, turn on the camera.
So blocking statements are executed sequentially, one by one, and non-blocking statements are executed parallelly. So the RHS and LHS is executed and assigned to the left-hand side parallelly in case of non-blocking assignments.
My next question is the difference between task and function. Task and function. So Asif will answer. Asif, you can answer. Then Tina.
So tasks are usually used for test benches, and as it contains delays, and function is generally used in the design as it does not contain any delay. And apart from that,
okay, Tina, you can end.
Some functions can be used in combinational blocks, and tasks can be used in both combinational and sequential, as it has memory. And
at least 4 differences you have to tell in the interview so that you can impress the interview. Fine. At least 4 points you have to tell. Fine. Not a 1 or 2 point. My next question is difference between wire and bridge. Who will answer? Raise your hand and start it.
so wire and
wire and bridge.
the wire are variables which are continuously driven. So it needs to be driven by some external variable continuously throughout the design. And registers are basically variables which can latch on to a value. So they are used to store a value and then use it in the design. And wires can be used inside. Wires cannot be used inside always block. They can be used in initial blocks and assigned statements, whereas regs can be used in initial blocks as well as always block.
Okay. My next question is, what is the use of generate statement in Verilog and what is its usage? Generate statement in Verilog.
So generate generate statement is like used for having multiple. If you want to repeat, means if you want to have multiple hardware, all the hardware, multiple hardware system, then we'll go with generate system, uh, generate procedure. So it will repeat the same hardware multiple times. For example, let's say if we want to do what do you say, adder, like 7-bit adder or 8-bit adder. So we can use a 1-bit adder and repeat it 7 times. Means it will repeat the hardware multiple times. Like
Generate for now. Generate is of two types. Generative, generate for, right? So you should know the syntax also. So that you can explain with the example, right? So what are you telling is right, but explain in the depth. That will be more clear. Fine. You can just Google it this question after the interview. Fine. After the session. Oh, do you know about automatic keyword in the tags? Automatic keyword in the tags. Automatic keyword in the tags. Automatic keyword in the tags. No. Anyone? Tina?
Automatic is used for functions. So that I know, but exactly I don't know why it is used.
एक्चुअली आपको नहीं भी पता तो तुम ये बोल सकते हो जो हम C++ में यूज करते हैं ना ऑटोमेटिक कीवर्ड, उसके बारे में बता दो, एटलीस्ट ब्लैंक मत बैठो, है ना। C+ में तो पढ़ा ही होगा ऑटोमेटिक, चलो इसमें इम्प्लीमेंट भी किया सी वेरिएबल से, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, वो वाला बता सकते हो। एक बार इंटरव्यू के बाद इसका आंसर दिखना है ना। माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज व्हाट इज डिफरेंस बिटवीन व्हाइल एंड डू व्हाइल लूप? व्हाइल एंड डू व्हाइल लूप।
So in case of while statement, first statement is executed. First the condition is evaluated, and then it will execute the statement. If it is true, it will get evaluated in the while statement. Whereas in case of do while statement, first all the sequential all the statements will be executed first one time compulsory, and then it will evaluate for the condition, like whether it's true or false. If it is true, then again it will evaluate, and then again it will repeat the same block statements.
You can make a that diagram also, like what is table diagram, what is it is get block diagram you can do, right? Yeah. Now my next question is difference between dollar stop and dollar finish. Who will answer? Dollar finish and dollar stop in Verilog. If you don't know, I can pass. I will go to the next question. But after the interview, just Google it once, right?
So dollar stop is like it will stop the program. It is come out of the loop, whereas the dollar finish will exit the terminate the simulation itself. Dollar stop will means come out of that loop, whereas dollar finish will terminate the simulation completely.
No. Just Google it once after the interview. Fine. Google it once. Okay. What is difference between dollar random and dollar u random? There's two type of random. Dollar random and dollar u random. You know? Okay, you can Google it after the interview. My next question is, what is the default value of range and wire? Default value of range and wire. This is a simple question. Asif,
don't care.
Asif answer. Asif.
So don't care X.
Don't care and X. Tina, same. What is your answer?
Yes, sir.
Default
Yes,
value of
sir.
range and wire. Yeah.
For wire it is Z, and for reg it is X.
Okay. My next question is difference between initial and transport delay. Initial and transport delay. Inertial and transport delay. Difference between both these.
Can I answer, sir? For like
Yeah, you can answer.
so in inertial delay is like the gate delay which has to be means the input signal will get delayed by that many units of as the inertial delay. So if the input pulse is smaller than the inertial delay, it will get absorbed by the gate delay and it will not come out. Whereas it's a transport delay, it's a wire delay. So irrespective of even the smallest pulse will travel through that delay, but only thing is it will get delayed. That's the only difference.
Just Google it.
Whereas,
Yeah, tell me. Tell me.
So whereas in inertial delay is like what do you say this? It is because of the basically it is because of the gate delay, because it is a delay that happens because of the delay due to the mass that it provides from input to output. Delay of the standard cell, you can say. Wire delay is just a parasitic RC, so it has to pass whatever the signal is there, that has to pass it down.
Yeah. In the interview, you have to make the diagram also and just Google it once. Fine, for the better answer. Asif, you want to add something?
No, sir, I have to revise delays.
Yeah, okay, fine. My next question is difference between inter and inter delay. Now Tina will answer. Inter and inter delay.
Sir, inter is when we provide the delay before the execution of RHS, I guess.
So can I answer?
Yeah, you can answer. At least 4 difference you have to tell.
Okay. So inter-assignment delay is used while we want to create a delay between two statements altogether. And intra-assignment delay is used when we want to create a delay between the assignment from LHS to RHS. So that is the first difference. And the second difference is that inter-assignment delay is non-synthesizable, and intra-assignment delay is, according to me, it's synthesizable. And apart from that,
Unmesh, you can answer.
that's it, sir.
At least 4 difference you have to tell in the interview. Otherwise, you will not able to. Suppose, let's say, your one question is weak. You know this inter and inter delay. I know we have teached you, right? At least answer it completely and properly, whatever you know. If you are giving like 40% of the knowledge to the interviewer will be not satisfied. He will say ऊपर से पढ़ लिया है ना. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. जहाँ पे तुमको अच्छा सा है, आप तो पूरा एक्सप्लेन कर दो ना, है ना, जितना आता है. जहाँ पे कम आता है वो कंपनसेट जब भी कर पाएगा, अदरवाइज कंपनसेट नहीं कर पाएगा वो, है ना. ठीक है, उन्मेश बताओ. हाँ.
In case of intra and as well as inter delay, both are not synthesizable. First thing. So second thing is like in case of inter delay is one when we write a statement like hash delay number like hash 5 a equal to b or something. So intra is a equal to hash 5b. So what will happen is in case of inter, first what do you say is the delay. First the delay is executed. Hash, suppose if it is hash 5 a equal to b. Hash 5 will get means the delay unit means the program will delay first 5 units, then it will evaluate b and then it will assign to a. Whereas in case of intra, a equal to hash 5b, in that case, what do you say? This first b is evaluated at 0 timestamp, and then after 5 delay units, it will get assigned to a. So and both delays are not non-synthesizable.
Okay.
So
you can give the example and all, yeah, example and all. You can explain it better, right? Example, you can write and pen and paper and give the example, like what will be the output and all these things. Yeah. My next question is difference between case X and case Z. Case X and case Z. Case CASE, case X CASE Z. You know?
So, can I answer?
Yeah, you can answer if you want.
So in case of case X, right, both X and Z are considered as a don't care. So whatever the value of X or Z is there, that will be matched always, like it will be considered as a don't care. Whereas in case of case Z, only Z is considered as a don't care. For example, like let's say if you have like what do you say this in case of X, the case X, right? Case X, if A equal to 1 double X, right? 1 XZ suppose. So it will match for anything that has the first bit as 1. Whereas in case of what do you say this the case only case statement, right? If you consider only case statement, 1 XZ means it has to match with 1 X and Z. All 4 variables has to be considered. Normal case statement. Case Z statement, what do you only Z is considered as a don't care. So in that case, like 1xc and one x 1 both are same. So which both will be matched.
Your voice is cutting.
Are you able to?
Yeah, now it is.
my complete answer.
Yeah, now it is coming.
Okay. So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Now it's okay, right?
Yeah,
So,
now it is fine.
So the answer. Should I repeat the answer or like is it okay?
Asif, you got it or not?
Sir, I got it, but the last part was
Yeah,
inaudible.
you can tell the last part.
So in case of case Z, right? Case Z, your only Z term is like if anywhere you get a Z term, that is considered as a don't care. It will match with all the other things like 1, 0, X and Z, like whatever is the wherever you get Z, right? It will match with all the thing. It will try to match it. Whereas in case of case X, both X and Z are don't care. So that is the main thing I just want.
Also, give the example in the intro, fine?
Example, yeah, example is
Give some example. That will give you the better idea. If you are even telling the wrong and giving the right example, they will understand he is a little bit confused. If they will give you the hint, fine. So it will be helpful. My next question is #0. We use a hash #0 in Verilog for miss timings. So what is the meaning of that and where we use it? Like what is the usage of that?
So let me try to answer. So if we generally both are used in initial block. So in case of first initial block where #0 is not used, that will be always be executed at the start time. Whereas wherever we give #0, right, that will be executed after all the initial block first statement is initial block statement is executed. Whereas after that #0 statement will be get executed. It will not come at the start time. It will first initial blocks are executed, then #0 block is executed.
So what is the
#0 block not
usage?
is #0.
What is the usage? What is the usage?
Usage means you can give it like what you say. Okay. So usage is like example. Suppose you have initially in the using a initial block. Okay. So in the initial block, we'll take a reset n equal to 0. Sorry, initial block we can take reset n equal to 0. Then after that we can just give #0 equal to 1, so that we will start your what do you say this reset n from 1. First it will be 0 at the starting of the simulation, but #0 you are given, so at the same time immediately it will go to 1. That's the same.
Just Google it once.
Sir, it is
Yeah,
used in the inactive, like when we have multiple events, so it gets executed in the inactive block.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, all the non-zero uh, assignments are executed simultaneously in the active region. But if we use #0, then that statement will go into the inactive region. So it will first wait for the active region statements to execute, and then that inactive region statement will be executed. So we use it for debugging our code to see that if our inputs are causing any error in the design. So to sequentially give the inputs manually, we use #0 to see which one of the following inputs exactly is causing the problem.
Yeah, fine. But just Google it after the class so that you can able to answer better with the example, fine? Because we have to tell the usage also where we are using in the application. My next question is difference between synchronous and asynchronous reset. Synchronous and asynchronous reset. Now Tina can answer. Then Asif, then Unmesh. And what is the usage of both? What is the application of both?
So I think I'm not sure.
Okay,
Like,
fine.
but
Asif.
synchronous.
Yeah, tell me. Tina, you can answer.
No, sir, you can continue.
Okay, Asif.
Synchronous reset is used with the clock edge. So if the design is a positively edge triggered, then the reset will only work when there is a positive edge of the clock. And in case of asynchronous reset, that reset will work whenever there is a positive or negative edge of the reset signal. So as per our requirement. So asynchronous reset is generally used for designs where we want to have control over the design and reset it according to our will. So let's say we have a piece of hardware in which we want to reset it if a malfunction occurs, or if there is any error which can cause malfunction to the entire hardware. So in that case, we need not wait for the positive edge of the clock and immediately reset it using asynchronous reset. And synchronous reset is generally used where we want everything to go synchronously with the clock. So that is the main difference in usage between the two types of resets.
And what about the coding? Coding is what is the syntax of both?
So for asynchronous reset, we will have a change in the sensitivity list of the always clock. So what we do is we do always pause edge of clock or negage of reset. So this is asynchronous reset. And in case of synchronous reset, we don't mention the condition of reset in the sensitivity list, and instead we mention the reset in the body of the always block.
So according to you, which is better? Which is better for the like design part? Which is better, synchronous and asynchronous?
So it depends on what we are designing, but in general, I would say that asynchronous is better because it gives us more control over our hardware.
Okay. Unmesh, you want to add something?
It's looking for this.
Okay, already fine. Now my next question is, do you know force and release? Force and release in Verilog. There is two terms, force and release in Verilog.
Yes, sir. So force and release is used for assign statements. So whenever we assign a value to a wire and we want that this value should be released or this value should be deassigned after a certain time in the design, then we can use force and release keywords to assign and deassign the value of that net.
Okay. Yeah. Unmesh, you can Google it once. Google it once after the interview. Tina, you want to answer? Force and release?
No, sir. Yeah, not sure about it.
So now I am coming to the FIFO. So do you know about FIFO, like Unmesh? So how many types of FIFOs are there? And what is full form of FIFO?
So there are two types of FIFO, synchronous and asynchronous FIFO. First out is the full form of it, and basically it's a queue. Whichever is coming whichever is coming, whichever is written first, that will be the first that has to be read. So that is the one thing.
Why we are not using LIFO then? Why we are using FIFO only in Verilog, like in VLSI? Why LIFO is also one thing, right?
Yeah, stack. It's a stack basically.
Yeah.
FIFO is a stack, right? So FIFO is like generally like it's a pipeline structure. So if you want to, whatever is coming in first, whatever the data we want to send it first, that has to be out of that pipe first. So that is the reason that the limit is. Another thing is like if we have like two different clocks, right? So for synchronizing, we generally do what do you say this use FIFO for that. Like if we have two different clocks with different clock rates, then so FIFO will be used to synchronize between the two clock domains.
So FIFO is basically memory, right? FIFO is basically
memory.
So why we are not using RAM, dual port RAM, single port RAM? What is the need of this thing in FIFO? Asif, you can answer. We already have the RAM, dual port RAM, single port RAM. Then why we are using FIFO?
So the basic purpose of using a FIFO is because if we have two pieces of hardwares and both of them have different rates of receiving and transmitting the data, then we cannot use a RAM, because in that case data will be lost. So let's say the first hardware sends data at 5 bits per second, and the second hardware receives it at 2 bits per second. So there is a mismatch in the receiving and transmitting of data, and due to that, data will be lost. So that is the reason we use the FIFO, where we store the data one by one, and whichever is the first data entering into the FIFO system, that one gets sent to the transmitter on first come first served basis. So that is why we are using FIFO instead of a LIFO, because LIFO cannot serve the purpose and solve the problem of using a RAM, because it's basically a stack, and FIFO solves this problem. So that is why we are using FIFO.
Okay. I will ask one question. Do you know infer latch in Verilog? Infer
Infer latch.
IN for FER.
Yes, sir.
Infer latch.
I
And
came
how to
across
avoid
this error, but I came across this error while designing, but I don't know what it exactly
Okay,
is.
just Google it, infer latch, and how to avoid it. Next question is FIFO.
Sir,
Yeah, you can
I
answer.
just wanted to add one statement. Sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if we, in case of like generally case statements, right? If you don't give a default statement, means if you don't write the default, or else like in case of if else if conditions, if you don't write the else statement, so at these points we'll be getting a infer a latch. We'll be inferring a latch. So the thing is like if it is not if all the conditions generally like while giving, right, all the conditions should be mentioned. If one condition is missing, then it will infer a latch and keep it like it will keep the output in feedback portion, like kind of like for a flop. If you keep it in a for a latch, right, if you keep your output in as a input kind of thing, then will infer a latch, right? So that is the main.
Okay. My next question is difference between synchronous and asynchronous reset.
You have asked.
Synchronous and asynchronous reset. Oh, sorry, FIFO. Sorry, FIFO. Asynchronous and
Okay,
synchronous FIFO.
Synchronous FIFO is one where both the receiver and transmitter are getting the same clock pulse. So there is a common clock between the two. There is a common shared clock between the two devices. In case of asynchronous FIFO, what's happening is that both the devices are getting different clock signals. So the clock domain is different for both the devices. So that is the main difference between synchronous and asynchronous.
Which counters we are using in both? You want to answer like which gray code counter or binary counter, which counter we are using in asynchronous and synchronous, and how many clocks are there? All these things you can answer. And why we are using only gray code counter in asynchronous? And what is the need of asynchronous? So 3 answer I am asking.
Yes.
These questions I have asked, you can answer.
No, sir, I have not studied asynchronous FIFO in that depth. So
Okay.
I know that it uses gray counter, but I don't know the
Fine.
specifics.
Okay. Tina, you want to answer? Why it is using gray code counter?
FIFO I did not prepare. Like,
Okay, Unmesh. Unmesh.
Okay, so the thing is like in case of what do you say asynchronous FIFO, right? We need two clocks. One is a read clock, and one is a read clock, another one is a write clock. In case of what do you say this read clock and write clock, we generally use gray code kind of what do you say this
Gray code
coding.
Gray
code, yeah, gray code, because we only one switching at a time, like one change at a time. So while incrementing the read pointer and write pointer, we generally do that. So that is the one, and apart from that, yeah. So I think for synchronous will be, since both are at the same clock, so we can use any kind of we can use binary incremental count also. Means we need not have a gray count kind of incremental gray code for implementing the increment thing and read and write pointers.
Let's just Google it after this thing. Fine. This is partially correct. Fine. This is partially correct. My next question is this thing. Do you know like FIFO depth? Like why we have introduced FIFO depth? What is the requirement of FIFO depth? FIFO depth. You want to answer why? What is the need of it? Like why we have introduced new term FIFO depth? And formula you already know. Like how? Yeah, tell me.
So FIFO depth is basically introduced because if we don't calculate the depth accurately, then we can either have less depth or more depth. So in case let's say we have more depth, then it will not be economical for us to make a FIFO with higher number of depth and while using less number of depths. So and if we are using a FIFO with less number of depths, then data will be lost. So that is straightforward. So that is why we need to accurately calculate the FIFO depth based on the difference between the transmission rate and receiving rate of both the hardwares.
Okay, two things we have to do after the interview. Just check out the code of synchronous FIFO in Verilog, and next thing is calculation of FIFO depth, right? Because in this meeting only 5 minutes are left, so just check revise both the things. If you already know, I know you already know, but both these questions are important. Code of synchronous FIFO and FIFO depth calculation. My next question is condition of overflow and underflow in FIFO. What is the condition of overflow and underflow in FIFO?
When read pointer and write pointer are equal, then it is what we say is stack is like stack is empty. That is sorry, FIFO is empty. So that is called what do you say this underflow. Overflow is whenever stack is full. At that time, MSB bar, like MSB bar of the right pointer times what is the remaining of that right pointer should be equal to the read pointer. So that is the condition for the overflow. At that time, FIFO is full.
Okay, just Google it once. You have to write pen and paper and give one example. Take some random values in the interview, so that you can answer and make a diagram of like proper pipelining and tell. Fine. My next question is application of FIFO. Application of FIFO. Application of FIFO. Application of FIFO. Simple question.
So the FIFO application mainly it is used in clock domain crossings is there. So whenever we need to if there are two domains in which the two different clocks are used, so at that time whenever if we have to write data from one domain, if you want to write data from one domain of clock to other domain of clock, at that time we will use the FIFO. So that is one application. Another is like what do you say this? If there is like if the write rate is speeder than the read rate, so at that time it will act as a buffer. So if the difference rate the difference in data rate of the data will be stored in that file.
Just Google it once and write at least 5 applications. Fine. Just Google at least 5 applications. And my next question is how we can avoid meta stability in FIFO. How we can avoid the meta stability in FIFO. First, tell me what is meta stability and then answer how to avoid meta stability in FIFO. You can answer what is meta stability at least. Then you can go for further question. How we can avoid the meta stability in FIFO, synchronous and asynchronous, both you can answer, like whatever you know.
So meta stability is like when the what do you say this clock and data changes like within a very small amount of means if we don't meet the setup and hold time, during that time meta stability will come. So that is a meta stability in a flock. So
how we can avoid
it like
Asif, you want to answer?
I know about meta stability. Like
Okay.
meta stability condition arises when the data changes during the aperture time. And how to avoid it, we can you are asking for FIFO, right? So I'm not aware about FIFO.
Just Google it once. Fine. Asynchronous FIFO, it is used for like to avoid the meta stability only. Fine. So my next question is we have only 1 minute, so just Google the write the code for the. We have to swap two variables without register and with the register. Both way have to write the code. Swap two variables without register and with the register. So this code code you can check. You can write now, otherwise you can after. It is the three or 4 lines code, right? With as well as without register. Swap two variables using without register and without extra temporary registers basically. So how is the session? It was useful. If you are
Yes,
not
sir.
googling these things after the interview, it is useless. If you are just Google these things, fine, after the interview, fine, so that you can able to work on it, fine. It is not about the demotivating you, it is about the gaining knowledge, right? So just Google these things.